The night was unusually still. I remember standing by the window of my ancestral home in County Clare, a place steeped in history and sorrow. The air was thick, heavy, and a strange silence had fallen over the land. It wasn't a peaceful quiet. It was the kind of quiet that feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for something terrible to happen. The moon was a pale sliver, casting long skeletal shadows from the ancient trees that dotted the landscape. I felt a coldness creep into the room, a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. It was a deep, primal cold that settled in my bones, an unspoken warning that something was wrong, very wrong. I tried to shake off the feeling, dismissing it as just my imagination running wild in the old house. But the feeling wouldn't leave. It clung to me like a shroud. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves outside, sounded amplified in the oppressive silence. I could hear my own heart thumping in my chest, a frantic drumbeat against the stillness. This was more than just a quiet night. This was a raw, undeniable energy. An ancient presence was making itself known. The world outside seemed to have stopped, frozen in anticipation. I felt like a spectator, trapped in a moment suspended between the living and something much, much older. My breath hitched in my throat. A faint sound, like a distant whisper on the wind, reached my ears. It was so soft at first that I thought I had imagined it. But then it came again, a little clearer this time. It was a sound of immense sadness, a mournful sigh that seemed to carry the weight of centuries of grief. It wasn't human. It was something else entirely. The sound seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, weaving through the trees and seeping through the very walls of the house. This was the beginning, the first sign that the veil between worlds was thinning. The whisper began to grow, slowly, steadily, into a soft, sorrowful cry. It was a sound that bypassed the ears and went straight to the soul, filling me with a sense of profound loss and dread. The silence was shattered, replaced by this heartbreaking lament. The birds had stopped singing long ago. Even the crickets were silent. It was as if all of nature was cowering, paying respect to the immense sorrow that was about to be unleashed. The air grew colder still, and I could see my breath fogging in front of me. I knew with a certainty that terrified me what was coming next. The whisper was just a prelude to the scream. The soft cry escalated into a full-blown wail. It was a sound of pure, undiluted agony that ripped through the night. This was the legendary cry of the Banshee, the woman of the Fae. In Irish folklore, she is not a monster that kills, but an omen, a messenger of death. Her keening, a traditional Gaelic lament for the dead, is a warning that a member of one of the ancient Irish families is about to pass away. To hear her cry is to know that death is near, that a soul is about to depart from this world. Her wail is a final, sorrowful goodbye, a supernatural announcement that a life is coming to its end. For centuries, my family has told stories of the Banshee. They say she is a spirit, forever bound to our bloodline, appearing to foretell a death in the family. She is a harbinger, a spectre of sorrow. Some say she is the ghost of a woman who died in childbirth, forever weeping for the child she lost and the families she watches over. Others believe she is a fey creature, whose connection to the ancient families grants her the terrible knowledge of their impending doom. Hearing her wail is a terrifying experience, a direct confrontation with the finality of death. It confirms that the supernatural is real and it has come to your door. This wail was different. It was filled with more than just sorrow. There was an anger in it, a terrifying rage that made the hair on my arms stand on end. The sound pierced my very being, vibrating through my chest and making my teeth ache. It wasn't just a warning anymore, it felt like a threat. The sound clawed at the windows, a physical force of grief and fury. I felt an overwhelming urge to cover my ears, to block out the horrifying sound, but I was frozen in place. Paralyzed by a fear so absolute it felt like my body was no longer my own. The legend always said her cry was a lament, but this was a shriek of torment. My mind raced, thinking of my family, my elderly grandmother, my uncle who had been ill. Who was it for? The wail seemed to answer me, growing louder and more personal with each passing second, as if it was calling my name. It wrapped around the house, a cocoon of sound and despair. I could feel the vibrations in the floor, in the glass of the window pane I was still touching. This was a raw, unfiltered paranormal event happening in real time. The kind of evidence you spend your life searching for, but when you find it, you wish you never had. The Banshee was no longer a distant legend. She was outside my home and she was screaming. The legends carry another darker warning. Hearing the Banshee is a terrible omen, but seeing her is something else entirely. It is a fate far worse. The stories say that if you lock eyes with the Banshee, she marks you. You are no longer just a person who knows death is coming for someone else. You become intertwined with her sorrow, her world. Your own soul is said to be shattered by the sight of her unimaginable grief. To see her is to look upon the face of death's messenger and experience that mortals are not meant to endure. It is an encounter that breaks something inside you forever. As the wailing reached a fever pitch, I felt an inexplicable pull to look outside. It was a compulsion, a force stronger than my fear. Every instinct screamed at me to hide, to turn away, but I couldn't. I was drawn to the window as if by an invisible string. My hand, trembling, wiped away the condensation my breath had left on the cold glass. I peered into the oppressive darkness, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. The moon was now completely hidden behind a thick blanket of clouds, and the world outside was a canvas of black. The wailing was so loud now, it felt like it was coming from inside my own head. And then I saw her. At the edge of the woods, a figure stood bathed in a faint ethereal glow. She was not a monster, but something far more terrifying. She was the image of pure, undiluted despair. A woman with long white hair that floated around her as if underwater, catching the ghostly light. Her face was pale, almost translucent, and her features were contorted in a mask of eternal agony. Her eyes... I will never forget her eyes. They were hollow sockets, but from them streamed tears of blood that stained her simple grey dress. She was not looking at the house. She was looking directly at me. Our eyes met across the dark expanse. In that single horrifying moment, the world fell silent. The wailing stopped. All I could hear was a deafening roar in my ears. It felt like an electric shock coursed through my body, a jolt of pure, supernatural energy. I saw lifetimes of sorrow in her gaze, centuries of watching loved ones die. I felt her pain, her rage, her eternal loneliness. It flooded into me, a torrent of emotion so powerful it threatened to drown me. I had done the one thing the legends warned against. I had looked into the eyes of the Banshee, and she had looked back. Death did not come for my family that night. My grandmother lived for another year, and my uncle recovered from his illness. The wailing was not for them. In my arrogance, in my fear, I had assumed the Banshee's cry was a warning for someone else. I never considered that it could be for me. But it wasn't my death she was foretelling. It was something worse. The encounter didn't kill me. It broke me. The moment our eyes locked, a part of my spirit was extinguished, replaced by the chilling echo of her despair. I was no longer the man I had been. I am now a prisoner of that moment. I live in a constant state of quiet dread, forever seeing her face when I close my eyes. The blood-red tears, the hollow sockets filled with an eternity of pain. Sometimes I hear her whisper on the wind, a soft, mournful sigh that no one else can hear. It is a constant reminder of our connection, a sign that she is never far away. The world of the living feels distant, muted, like I am watching it through a thick pane of glass. I feel the coldness I felt that night deep within my soul, a permanent chill that no warmth can touch. This is the Banshee's mark. The legends were true. Seeing her is a fate worse than a quick, clean death. Death is an end. This is a continuation. An eternal sentence of feeling her sorrow, of carrying a piece of her curse. I have become a living ghost, haunted not by a spirit but by the memory of one. I walk through my days feeling her presence, a constant, unseen companion. Friends and family say I've changed, that the light has gone from my eyes. They don't understand that the light was stolen, traded for a glimpse into a realm of sorrow from which there is no return. I am now a part of her terrifying tale. Sometimes, late at night when the world is quiet, I find myself standing by the window looking out into the darkness. I don't know if I am waiting for her or if some part of me is calling out to her. The line between my grief and hers has blurred. The most terrifying part is this: I know I will see her again. But the next time she appears, with her blood-stained face and her soul-shattering wail, I understand now she will not be coming as a warning for someone else. She will be coming to collect a soul that she already marked as her own. She will be coming for me.